Mr. Klein, hello from Dubrovnik. You are an expert in cruise ship industry. Can you explain environmental and social impact of cruise ships?
Well, the social impacts are largely related to the issue of people pollution. That is, when there are so many passengers that it exceeds the carrying capacity of a port. That's certainly a problem in Dubrovnik at the peak of the season, even last year and the year before, when they had less passengers than what you're going to have this coming year. This has been seen in other places. For example, places like Key West in Florida, they found that the number of cruise passengers had reached a point where they were driving away people were coming to stay for a period of time. So as a result, hotels were losing occupancy, the restaurants weren't as busy, and the problem was not just the number of cruise passengers, but that cruise passengers have a much smaller economic impact than do people who come and stay for several days or even for a couple of weeks.
Dubrovnik visited more than 1 million passengers last year. In this year we expect 30% increase of cruise ships visitors. What's your opinion about that?
Well, it seems like it's reaching a point of excess. I mean, Key West, which is probably even a little bit larger in size than the core city of Dubrovnik, when they reached 100,000, they decided they had to cut back on the number of passengers, and they rolled it back to around 750 to 800,000. Even that, for many people, is too many. I think the issue for Dubrovnik, it may not be the issue of the number of passengers total, but the number of passengers who end up there per day. Because, I mean, when I visited Dubrovnik, there were, I think, 2 cruise ships in that were moderate sized, and already trying to get into the old city and trying to explore the old city was very difficult. And in fact, I was trying to go out of the old city, and as people there know, there's just this stream of tourists who won't get out of your way, trying to funnel into a very small space. It certainly affects their appreciation for the city, but it also affects the appreciation of anybody else who is there. The other issue that's been raised in other places has been the way in which cruise tourism has negatively impacted the quality of life of the people who make Dubrovnik or someplace else their home. That the crowds have a cost. The industry is there to make money. They're one of the most efficient companies or corporations in their ability to turn basically water into money. And Carnival Corporation, which is the largest in the world, before the Costa Concordia accident was earning about $2.5 billion per year, and they paid no income tax because they're registered in Panama, and their ships are registered in Panama or in the Bahamas.
So you said that Dubrovnik is suffering cruise overkill. Why did you say so?
Well, I think it's a matter of the congestion that comes with the number of cruise passengers. That realistically, a historic city, a city with the things to be seen in Dubrovnik, are being compromised when you're competing with, let's say 8,000 or 10,000 other people in a single day. Not just for the visitors, but for people from there, is to me, it's a real crime.
What's the worst thing the cruise ships are doing around the world? Why are they so dangerous for environment, for people, for the city they're visiting?
Well, I think the environmental issues are one that needs to be given very careful attention to. The issue of what are they putting into the air? Ships incinerate almost everything from on board that can't be put into the ocean. So, cardboard, papers, packaging, plastics, and there's no real regulation or control of the shipboard incinerators, not only where they can be used, but what they put out. So very often you'll have a ship spewing its incinerator waste into the air when it's in port. As well, you have the emissions from fuel. In North America, they've just put in place a North American emission control area so that ships have to use fuel of 1% sulfur content or less. That regulation is not in place in the Mediterranean or in Europe. So the fuel they're using there is likely not as clean as they're using around the US or Canada. In addition, there's the problem of the solid waste. The food waste, that's usually macerated and put into the ocean, which has negative impact to the fish life. Glass is normally crushed and put into the ocean. And then the other concern would be the wastewater. A cruise ship is producing about 7 gallons of sewage per person per day, and about maybe I should put this into liters, about 360 liters of gray water. That's the water from sinks and from showers. Now, research that's been done has found that the gray water can be as debilitating to sea life as can be sewage. And there is no international regulation with regard to the discharge of gray water. They can discharge gray water while they're sitting still in the harbor or anchored off the old city in Dubrovnik. And that's a serious concern.
What do you think, what's the most important thing for Dubrovnik? To keep it medieval, a Mediterranean city without destroying of those cruise ships, without negative impact of those cruise visitors?
Certainly the cruise industry would like Dubrovnik to become another Disneyland kind of thing for destination for people to see, because that's how they make their money. But I think, as a UNESCO site, as a place that's steeped in history, but also a culture that is part of that history, I would want to see people there hold on to that very dearly and do as much as possible to protect it. People that I know go to Dubrovnik because they want to see the historical city. They want to experience the historical culture. And I think one has to defend itself against losing that, because when that's lost, the attractiveness as a destination for land-based travelers may begin to erode. And it's the land-based travelers who end up spending 300 or 400 euros a night for a hotel room, go out to dinner every night, and not only spend money, but contribute in sales taxes to the VAT by what they spend. Dubrovnik is not an inexpensive city to come to visit, and you don't want to drive away those people who have the money to be able to spend and enjoy it.
Thank you very much for this interview.
Well, thank you.